Alright, so I've taken a little bit off because it was Thanksgiving and I overate a little like everybody should, you know. And we're ready to get back into this. I'm going to have to deal with having popped through these holes a little better. They're a little dark. But anyways, I picked up some more stuff, some more tools. I have some replacement files for the one that snapped. Just a cheap half round here, which should help a lot. This one. And that'll help some. Yeah. Yeah, that'll do. That'll help a little. Although it's got a sharp point. I might file or grind that nice and smooth at some point. And then I've got some sanding spongy things here I picked up for the air sander that are soft pads to go on the sanding on this little guy. So we can stick that to there and then this to here, and then now it'll flex some so I can get down into these. Yeah, that's going to work really well, I think. That's going to help a lot. I'm not sure I'll be able to get all the way to these areas, but yeah, that's going to help quite a bit, I think. I've got another one that's thinner and stiffer that might come in useful at some point as well. And then some card scrapers. I, oddly enough, have not had, to this day, in my woodworking, a set of, or a curved, this thing. I have never had one of these. I don't know why. I've done stuff that needs them, but I've always found other ways. I got a square one, which I really don't need. I have plenty of square ones, but yeah, these ought to do to help, you know, well, to help at least somewhat into some of these areas here, you know, all the way down to the tiniest. So that'll help, I think, too. But another thing I picked up was a good, I guess this is technically a file, but it's a little coarse to be a file in my mind. It's more of a rasp to me here. Well, let's get a hold of it. Let's see. Yeah, this is one of those, what they call them, Iwasaki. So we can use it to do some of our shaping here. It does leave a fairly smooth surface. It's a little less, it's about as coarse as the rasps are. Maybe a little less, a little smoother than the rasps are. But yeah, it gives you kind of the idea there. So I've got a curvy one for that, and I've got my curvy file. So that's the second cut. Yeah, that'll do. And then we can get to sandpaper. So this and the rasp should get me quite a bit further in the in the shaping, and then the file can get me smoother, and then I can get to the sandpaper. Sandpapery-ness. Yeah, so that's pretty cool, I'd say. I got tools. Got some more toys. Alright, so I've switched to a different gun. This gun is just a rotary action. It's not dual action like the other. The dual action is a little less aggressive, and this oak is so damn hard. It takes a while to get the file and grinding and rasp marks out. So I'm kind of headed to this thing instead because it's a little more aggressive. It should help get things shaped a little quicker. I don't want to spend forever on this step. So Yeah, that's working really well. I like this. Alright, well, I figured this side is pretty well done. We're going to flip it. I've got it flipped over, and we're having an exercise in difficult work holding at this point, but I think I can get to most everything else here. There's a spot here that I can't, obviously, but the transitions here should be reachable. All of this area should be reachable. This leg should be reachable. It's just a game of position it in a way that'll let you do what you want it to do, and then you can go after it. I think this might be a little too flexy for my liking here. So far so good. We'll see how it does when the power stuff comes on and we start doing power grind, sanding and such, but for now it seems okay. But this one's going to get a somewhat thinner profile here shortly. So I'm going to start on the end and get it close to finished dimension. And that way I keep all the rigidity in it as long as I possibly can. Hey, let's hope this. And we're just continuing the shaping that was done with the power grinding. Just refining the shape and the thickness and the general dimensions here. It's a weird lump right here I'd like to be rid of. But overall, this may not be the most exciting part because it's not all that explanatory. It's just taking what's in my head. I keep saying that, but it's true. I keep taking what's in my head and manifesting it in the material. Never thought I'd refer to wood as material. See, that's an artist thing. But yeah, we're gonna get a fair bit thinner here because I don't want it that bulky up on top here. And we're just going to keep on after this. Oh, you probably can't hear. Hold on. Sorry. I hope that wasn't too disruptive, but you know, ultimately we're just shaping. So a lot of this is just coming up with profile in my mind and bringing it out on the part here. And for the most part, this wood is cutting almost grain of direction agnostic. This one is, I'm definitely going against the grain on this side, but it doesn't seem to be barking too badly. It's not tearing out or anything, so knocking stuff over. But we'll just keep going. I'll probably bring you in for some closer shots here and there, but you know, it's just the overall shaping game. And I don't know how to describe the process since I've never done this before, but what's going on in my mind is I'm looking for the shape I had in my head, and sometimes that's, you know, oh, this lump isn't where I'd like it, take that lump down, or it's hollow down here right now. There's a hollow right here that I'm not sure I like, so I'm kind of working my way towards getting rid of it, but I have to get some stuff out of the way ahead of it first. Like this little curve right here is kind of in my way before I can get the spoke shape down in there, but also it's not something I want to keep either. So I'm kind of happily removing it as well. At the same time, I'm coming to the other shape. And sometimes it's just a matter of dropping down and watching what you're doing here. And I'm absolutely fine if this gets super thin, because this is about as thick as I dare. It's not a strength issue. There's not going to be any trouble with being strong enough to hold anything. It's just a case of, does it look the way I want it to? Is it overbearing? Is it too bulky? Is it taking too much attention? Because I don't want the base to be the only focal point. I want to have, the base needs to be pretty much the main focal point, but I don't want it to take away too much attention from the top surface either. That walnut is beautiful. And you know, we're just heading down that shape now. Just chasing the shape is all I'm doing here. It's getting there. It's not quite there yet, but I think I'll switch to some music for you and you can watch this process. Last thing to get rough shaped, this leg. We got the trunk basically done, and the two arms and the top. The top are done and this leg's done. The last one is this thing. So the first thing I'm going to do is get this epoxy sort of brought down so that I don't smack into it too hard with my, I don't want to make the spoke shave work too hard, if I can help it. This just gets the majority of that out of the way. Come back at it here. We're going to do the same thing we did on the other side and get our foot, boy, that was probably loud as crap, get our foot shaped nice. Just more spoke shaving. Okay, good morning. Now that everything's pretty much rough shaped, this isn't quite as smooth as I'd like, but I'm at the point where I might as well start filling in these holes again because they'll be rough and the smoothing process will have to happen yet again. So there's 3 of them that are really rough. They're really bad. There's full-on gap, full-on holes. I hit them all. I still don't know what I'm going to do about them, that they exist, but I'm just going to fill them and then we'll see what I can do after that. I think what I'll end up doing is probably airbrushing around them to try to blend them in a bit, maybe just make dark spots. I don't know. I may go, there's always paint. I can always paint this whole thing, so that's kind of the attitude I'm taking with this at this point. So I've got my 6-minute epoxy. While I wait for the epoxy to fully set up, I'm just going to start sanding some of the really bad areas that the power sander couldn't get into. It actually caused troubles over here. Like, it left these gouges. Just do a lot of sanding now. So as is possibly often the case, when you're sanding and refining, you see parts of the shapes that you just, turns out you didn't like so much. I kind of don't like this lump down here. So I think I'm going to try to get rid of some of it. Back to ye oldie spoke shave. Well, the epoxy has pretty much dried while I was sanding that one leg. I'm going to go after this with the rasp here real quick and see if I need to add more. I think I will on this one, maybe. I got a lot of extra spread all over this thing. Like a little shallow. We're gonna switch out to my file here. Might be all right. No, we're gonna need to add some more. Yeah, it didn't quite reach. I'm gonna get the excess off of here first. Rasp is faster. Takes a little while. Try to get the extra. So I'm gonna cut back all of them and see how close I got on all of them here. Alright, so now that we're pretty much shaped, I want to work out the tabletop fastening mechanism, or the way I'm going to fasten the top to the base. And I have an interesting idea that may or may not work, so I'm going to try it. So you'll see more of it in a bit. But the first thing that needs is a couple of holes in each of these uprights. And the idea is I want them as deep as I can go without coming through. So I'm kind of orienting them in a way that allows for that. And then I want them perpendicular to the top. And I'm going to come really low on this one. I'm not going to go full depth with this one. This one's going to go about there. That's enough. Yeah, it'll do it. I'm worried about poking through on any of them, so this one will go right in. Ah, the drill bit is hot. Okay. And then those are just starter holes. We're going to jump into some 1/4 inch. And that's going to be the size we use, our 1/4 inch pins. You'll see that here. We'll see more of that in a bit. Actually, yeah, 1/4 inch is perfect. So now we'll just go in. Don't know how deep that was. Deep enough? No, not quite. Just don't poke through is the key. Okay. So we're going in about a 1/2 inch. I've not drilled through any of them so far. That's good. And I think we're done with the drilling. We're going to need some special hardware I'll make on the lathe, actually. So I'll pull this out. I'm going to brush off the bench a little bit here. Get a clear space. It is sawdust messy here. This game is a messy game. Okay. I'm going to go grab the top. I'm going to stick it up here so that we have a rough idea of where things are going. And you can't see what I'm doing. Hold on. Alright, so now we have our top. I'm going to slide it down a little bit here. Too much crap on the bench. And I've got my trusty dowel centers here that I'm going to put into the holes I just drilled. And then slide this over to about where I'd like it. This is going to give me some idea, to some degree, an idea of where my cut can be for the. I'm working out both the joinery of the tabletop, the top to the base, but I'm also working out where it's safe to cut for the shape. So I'm going to slide these guys down here. I'm going to throw a dog here and a dog here. Now this is backed against that, and now I just need to be sure this is where I want it. If that works, I can knock the centers in. That looks fairly centered there, and it looks roughly centered there. This is terribly asymmetrical no matter what. So we're at a 4 3/8. Yeah, 4 and 9/16. That's not too bad. So if I just came down here like that much, it's not going to be center of the table. That's the part that's, it's not going to matter too much because hold on, hang on a minute. I really should be center plane. Okay, I'm going to figure out where center plane is first. So what I just realized is this thing's going to stand a certain way, right? It's going to lean whatever direction it leans. It's not really leaning. There's no real desire to go this way more than this way. It's basically the same. But the idea is when there's weight on it, it needs to be center mass, basically. So what I'm going to do is take some, oh hey, you know what, this will do just fine. I'm going to take my, apologize, my drywall square. Will it reach without hitting the ceiling? Just. That's perfect. Okay, so then we're going to spin around here first, and then I'm going to find where that is. Okay, so now you can see this is positioned so that it starts. This is the center of the base, which is where that center foot is. And so that's where I want to be center-wise, I think, from a physics standpoint. We're going to try this. I'm just going to put a little mark right here where I believe to have center of mass to be. That should mean, it's going to be strange maybe, but it should mean that the center of the top should be right there. I think that's going to be strange. I'm going to pop those out of there for a second while I figure this out. And they're in there really good. Don't drop them in the sawdust. It will be gone forever. All right. Now I can set this on here and take a look at it with the center being way over here. In theory, I believe this to be the most stable position. This puts the same amount of weight. This should equalize the weight. I think it's way too, I think it's lopsided. I'm going to put it down on the floor and take a look at that and see if it looks any worse or better. Okay, so this is, 2 feet off the floor. That doesn't look completely wrong, I guess. It's still a little strange. I think we're going to take a peek at it from standing. No, see, the more I look at it, the more I dislike it. It doesn't look right for me. Okay. Now I'm going to jump up to standing level and about 6 feet away. It's probably the most likely space you'll see it in, or roughly the most likely distance you'd see it from. So I'm going to stand up and take a look at it that way. Okay, so now at standing height, boy, it looks different standing here myself and looking in the camera. In the camera, it looks way worse. Now, if I pay attention to it, it doesn't look right. Okay, so now we're going to try where I think center tabletop wise would be. So we're going to come over a fair bit. Let's say a little bit. It's actually about right. Okay. Let's see. That looks roughly centered. Yeah, that looks a lot better. We're going to go with center. Yeah, otherwise it looked weird. So I'm going to drop you back to the floor so you can see the floor view again, but pretty sure I'm good with where it is here. Yeah, this level of symmetry works better for my brain. Anything else felt wrong. Okay. I like centered. This works. So that roughly comes out to about 4.5 overhang on either side, I think. That's at 4.5. And that's at 4.5. It's actually a 32nd farther this way, but I think that'll work. And now we can just come up with a top shape. Okay, we're going to go with right there. So I'm going to mark this as my true center point, which is actually about centered on the top part. Yeah, we're going to call that middle. Push it forward a little bit. There we go. I'm going to call that our center. That actually moves it to the left a good nearly 2 inches. 2 inches to the right just wasn't, or 2 inches to your left. Inch and a half, inch and 5/8, somewhere in there. Yeah, I think I like it. I like it here a lot better than I like it here. That just doesn't do it for my brain. It just feels wrong way over there. It feels right over here. Now, from a balance standpoint, how is that? Yeah, it feels about the same. Doesn't take much to tip it this way because it is a tripod. But I'm not terribly concerned there because it's going to be against a wall. So I'm not terribly concerned about that. Cool. I'm going to set this up on the bench again and find our holes, our points. Okay, back on the bench. Take our points again. We'll place them back in here. Now, with things centered where they want to be centered, where I want them to be centered, I should say, we can continue this joinery game. Now we can center this way, like I'm just eyeballing. You know what? I'm going to put a line where the center of this is here. You know what? We're going to do this a little bit more accurately. I'm just laying a mark on the bench. Pencil line where that center line is. And now I should be able to just, yeah, I can see where the Sharpie mark is. Now we can just do like that. And just like that. And now I can just hold on to it and give it a pump. That should have put them in all three. Sure enough did. Yes, it did. All right. Now we're going to find them really fast before I forget where they landed. And I'm going to mark them right there. Right there. Where'd that one? Where did that one go? Well, the nice thing is I've got two, so finding the third one won't be tough. Just line them back up. Oh, there you are, right there. We're going to very carefully draw out the shape of our footprint of that. Do the same for this. Oop, now it's all moved. Put it right back where it was. That's where it was, okay. Okay, so those are my feet prints. And then the plan is, so here's kind of an idea of what I'm after. In here, my thinking is I'm going to put T-slots. I'm going to cut some small T-slots. And they basically have to start out here, engage in those, and I'll put posts in here that are T-slot shaped that'll lock into those T-slots. So we start up about 1/4 inch and then slide into place, locking all three of these into their T-slots. And then in the back, I'll put one screw. I'll put a tab back there that goes into one tab that goes into it with a screw to hold everything onto the T-slot. Or so is the plan. You know what I'm going to do as well? Seeing as I have this hole here, I'm going to use this. Oh, that's not 1/4 inch right now. I'm going to make that hole 1/4 inch hole. I'm going to put actually, you know what? I don't need to. No, it's fine. So that'll all just slide right into place like bonk, thunk into place. The hope is that the resulting T-slot is not visible. I want no indication of how it's fastened to these things, if I can help it. It's going to be a gamble, though, I think. I believe. So we're going to figure that out. I can make the T-posts now. What I'm debating is how to work out the T-slot. I could do them as metal. And then it's more like a keyhole slot. I'm trying to work out the best way to get this to work while still being invisible. and strong enough to handle the weight of the table and whatnot. Yeah, I need to think through that. I definitely need to think through that. So I'll bring you back when I figure that out. It's probably going to be next weekend. I believe I'm done for the day. But, you know, yeah, we're coming along. I think I can turn my attention to the tabletop now. I still have to work out these ugly holes, how to mask them, but I'm working on an idea what to do with the rest of the base. I'm not all that much in love with oak, and frankly don't care if you see the quarter sawn rays or not. We'll see what happens.